Hello, welcome along to the Rangers Rabble. Very, very quickly put together show. So yeah, we've got a couple of things to talk about today. One thing, don't really want to talk about it, but we have to. Another thing, I really don't want to talk about it. So this is going to be fun. Yep. So I'm joined today by William. William, how are you?
All good, mate. All good.
Good, good. And Mark.
All good the hood.
I wasn't giving you a big introduction. I was just saying your name. There you go. On today's show, it will not be a long one. But if you do want to phone in and have your say, you can. And 01416287237. I say it won't be long. It might be. I'm just saying that to keep me safe for Willie. That's all. Because Willie might kill me if it goes too long. Yeah, we're going to talk about the BBC apologising to Rangers, which I did not see coming, but there you go. And of course, Calvin Bassey being confirmed by Ajax. Just seeing the pictures of the big man, it's really hit home, and I feel gutted, absolutely gutted. If you want to have your say about last night as well, then I suppose you probably could if you wanted to phone in and talk about that. Of course, we're live on YouTube, so please do subscribe and give us a like. And of course, if you're watching on Twitter, do comment because I do see it. Give us a wee follow, give us a retweet, get the word out there. So, Willie, I'm going to give you control, mate. I'm going to let you decide where we start. Do we start with Bassey or do we start with the BBC?
I think the Bassey news. I mean, you know, the amount of money we've taken for Calvin is extraordinary, really. I know some people probably would say that maybe it's not enough, but talking about a guy we paid less than £250,000 for, and less than a year ago, he wasn't even a starter, really, in the first team. So, in the space of probably less than a year, really, probably mainly since Gio came in, we've really seen a big upturn in quality. And to take in what looks like nearly £20 million guaranteed, with the potential for another 2.5, 3 million and a sell-on clause, that could turn into a £30 million deal for Rangers. And to me, that's just a deal that Rangers couldn't turn down. And for Calvin, he's moving to a club who have shown that they can develop young players and take them to the next level as well. So I think all round it's a great deal for Rangers and for Ajax and for Calvin Bassey.
I can't hear you, Martin.
And I'm on mute. When I've got a fantastic segue, I'm always on mute. Spare a thought for header. I'm on a train to London for a charity conference with no power, no aircon, and no shop. So thanks for passing the time for me. You're very welcome. You're very welcome, Heather. Before we come on, Mark, I suppose to the gap that Big Bass is going to leave as I try and sort my hair out, which isn't really working for me. Walter Zenga. Walter, do you know what? If you want, Walter, give us a wee phone. The fee is underwhelming. Many will say it's good business, but 19.6 million rising to a maximum of just under 23. Whilst decent is not top dollar, I think he is worth 25 million minimum, Mark.
I think that when you look at it, we'd all like to get 25 million, 30 million, 45 million. The more money, the better, is basically what we all feel. But you're only going to get what teams are willing to pay. So that, to me, is a fantastic bit of business. Absolutely fantastic bit of business. The money that we brought him in, this boy's only been there 2 years. And we've sold him for crazy amounts of money. Yeah. So, and let's face it, we're moaning about it, but it's a club record fee in our history. Do you know what I mean? So, I'm not going to squabble an odd million here or there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the big thing for me on a personal level is that if the club had decided to get more money for him now and not have a sell-on fee, would we be looking at it in 2 or 3 years' time when somebody like Calvin potentially moves to, I don't know, say a Chelsea or a Man United or a Liverpool for 50 million, and Rangers then miss out on a sell-on fee of potentially £3, £4, £5 million.
Yeah.
And this is the fine balancing act. And for me, see, whenever we sell a player now, I would always want a sell-on fee. I would accept a little bit less now with the sell-on fee because, let's be honest about it, I've got belief that Joe Aribo can go and do well at Southampton. and I think Joe could get a move, which will bring in more money further down the line. I genuinely believe that Calvin can go to Ajax and be a very, very good player, and I think he could then move on for another huge fee. So why would you not want to have the sell on? And this is like the argument that you'll see on social media. Should we take more now and we don't take a sell on fee, or do we take a little bit less and have a sell on fee? So like you're never going to have everybody agreeing on that. I do understand that some people might feel we didn't get as much as we could, but if Rangers get all the add-ons, it's £23 million, and then you're still sitting with a sell-on clause.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I just think it's a good deal all round. And obviously, my perspective, I want to see Calvin go there and do well. If he does well, then Rangers are going to benefit out it further down the line. And his sale has allowed us to now get into the marketplace and potentially add more players to the squad that's going to make us stronger, just like the Joe Aribo sale has allowed us to go out and bring in Tillman and Rabbi Matondo and other players. And that's what it's going to be at Rangers from now on. Whether people like that or not, we are a club that's going to sell, and that's how we're going to recruit players. I don't know everybody's going to agree with that, but in the European market front, when Ajax can come in and bid that amount of money for a player, like we couldn't go and do that.
No.
So that's where we are. I think as Ross Wilson said a little while ago in one of his interviews, there's like different forms of the transfer window. You've got like the top tier, then the middle tier, and then like the bottom tier. We're probably in between the bottom tier and the middle tier in terms of what players we can try and bring in and shift out. So like, we can't go to that next level. I don't know if we'll ever see a transfer in Scotland like that kind of money in terms of like us paying that money or Celtic. I think the maximum is maybe around about £6 or £7 million, and that would be a pretty substantial signing for Rangers or Celtic to make at this given time.
Can I just apologise to everybody? People might have seen me smirking and laughing. It wasn't anything the two guys were saying. My dog gets really jealous when I'm in here because he can't get in because he's a nosy bastard, right? He's just spewed all over the living room, right? I've had to take him out the back. My missus has been left to clean it up, and all I can hear is so I severely apologise if anybody's eating their lunch as well. But yeah, that's all I can hear. But just on this as well, Mark, and this was something that was mentioned. Bassey's been phenomenal, right? Absolutely phenomenal. But he's only been phenomenal for less than a season. So do you think that brings it? Listen, you're not man of the match in a European final and a Scottish Cup final, and you don't carry a Rangers team the way he did unless you're an amazing player. But had this been over possibly 2-3 seasons that he'd been to this level and we had still made it to a European final, could we have asked for more? Is the fee about right?
I think you're probably right. I mean, realistically, this boy's done it for 6 months. I mean, we knew he was capable, but that's the bottom line. And the bigger picture is, let's face it, he's safeguarded the financial future of the club with us. This is sorted as moving forward. We're no taking loans for members of the board or anything like that. Where we are financially with the sales that we've made over the last 6 months, really starting from Patterson right through, we're in a phenomenal place financially. Big Bassey, been here 2 years, and kudos probably should really go to the coaching staff, because what a phenomenal job they've done in this boy. This boy's came from nowhere. What was it, 250,000 or 300,000 we paid for him as a development fee. I don't know if he made an appearance for the first team in Leicester, did he? He's not.
No.
So this boy's came from nowhere, and the coaching staff has done an absolutely phenomenal job with this boy and brought him on. The improvement in the boy when he walked in the door in 2 years is just amazing. And like you said, I think that we're probably there or thereabouts. I mean, do we cut our nose off a wee bit to spite our face and say no, it's 25 million when somebody's realistically offered us 23 million in the grand scale of things. So if it was, like you said, 4 years, it was doing it constantly for 4 years or 3 years, then you can ask for stupid money. But like I said at the start, he's only worth what other teams are willing to pay. We love him, and we're all Rangers players, so we think they're worth more than what the market value is. But a phenomenal bit of business, and as I said, the big fella goes with the best wishes.
If anybody watching, if you want to have your say on the transfer, then of course you can call 01416287237, come through to the show. Just often a quick tangent, Willie, if you don't mind. The Gallant Pioneers put in, look, lads, we've banked 38 million effectively from Bassey, Aribo and Patterson. Again, we're talking about we've banked 38 million. Aribo was in the last year of his contract, right? And by all accounts had a 10 million release clause, which I don't know if that's true or not. Patterson played less than a handful of games for the first team, I think. Maybe 10 if you're lucky. And Bassey, 6-8 months ago, we were all screaming, this boy can't head a ball. What's he doing in that Rangers team?
Aye.
So to make that amount of money in those circumstances, it's all credit to the club.
Yeah, look, I always look at things from the bigger picture because I see where the club has been and obviously where we've had to come back to. And at the end of the day, at some point, as has been mentioned by the people on the board and by many other people, the club's got to start like breaking even and making profit. Because for many years there, it was just constant investment in the first team. And obviously, until the club gets to that point where they can sell a player, it's just constantly like sort of losing money. Now, because of the sales, as has been pointed out there, Patterson, Aribo and Bassey,
And
the club's in a much healthier position. And the great thing for Rangers now is that when clubs come calling, you don't just have to accept the first crap offer. Because the club are sitting there with a positive bank balance. I know a lot of people won't want to hear that, by the way, because that doesn't go down well to a lot of people's etiquette or whatever. But at the end of the day, when Rangers can cash in on a player at that value with somebody like Bassey, it's really difficult for the club to turn that down because you don't know if you would ever get that kind of offer again. I mean, I think as we've said before in football, so Calvin could have went out in the first game of the season against Livingston and broke his leg on that pitch. And then you've turned down, 23, 25 million pounds. And this is like the game that Ross Wilson and the board are constantly playing. So every time a bid comes in for somebody, you look at the bigger picture. Is it an offer we can turn down? How do we replace that player? I mean, the big talk at the moment is Morelos as well, when you look at it quickly. Is it better to keep Alfie if he doesn't sign a new deal because he can help us over the course of the season and we let him leave for free because he only cost us $1 million? Or do we sell him and get a fee for him so we can replace him? So, it's a constant fight between, is it the right choice? Is it the wrong choice? And obviously, at the end of the day, not every supporter is going to agree with that.
Well,
because that's what social media brings to the table. You're never going to have like 100% agreement.
Just on that, well, I was talking to a mate today about the exact same thing. And we were talking about Morelos and Kent. And we were talking about the two of them needing to sign or needing to go. And the exact same thing was my comment to him was that if Morelos stays and runs down his contract, it was only £1 million. Whereas Kent is different. Kent cost us 7.5. So that's a completely different ballgame. So you don't really want to take a £7 million hit. You can live with $1 million. So I think that's more imperative that if Kent doesn't sign, then he needs to get sold, even if we get our money back from him. And I know people are going to start jumping up and down the spot when we saying that, but
can I come back to that in 2 seconds, Mark? Right, because we haven't mentioned the Morelos and Kent situations, right, with the new contracts. But I want to come back to that in 2 minutes. But I also want to give the opinion from people who are maybe unhappy at the Bassey transfer because it's only right. RFC 56, we could have and should have broken the Scottish transfer record. Now we have to try and make ourselves feel better. No, for me, this is a disgrace.
Well, from that point of view, I mean, see, goes quickly on that, right? See, like the final fee, if Calvin goes and signs for a top English club, that will break the £25 million record because, like, by that point, he's probably already maxed out the add-ons, right? and then if he moves for 50 or 60 million pounds, which is obviously a chance with like the money that English clubs pay, right?
And
That would take that to 27, 28, 29 million pounds we've made for Calvin Bassey. So I get why people are annoyed by it, but at the end of the day, the long-term goal is that Rangers think they can make more money by having that sell-on than like sort of taking more money up front right now.
Well, see, that this is the problem, Mark. I think people just obviously see the initial fee, and I get it. People are pissed off because I personally think that Bassey will go on to be much better than Kieran Tierney. But I don't want to look at this from the usual, Rangers versus Celtic. We've got to do better than them. They've got to do better than us. If you look at it, it's 5 million, the difference between, and I don't know if they had a sell-on fee because, as people might not believe this, but I couldn't even tell you who they've signed in this window, right? Because I really don't care.
100%.
See, to get a sell-on fee off of Ajax, which apparently is near impossible. Ajax don't do sell-on fees. Wally says it there, to get a 10% sell-on fee, because that's what's been reported, if that's true, to get a 10% sell-on fee in a player who could more than easily go for more than what Martinez has just left Ajax is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, that's just something. But this whole thing about the we need to get more money than that lot, that's that lot's mentality. I couldn't care less what they got or what they did to get or who they sold or who they bought or how much money they got for them. I'm not interested because I don't care about them. I think that the sell-on fee is massive, and we all think, and we've seen him, so we all think that this boy can go on and be something special.
Yeah.
I think that he's got all the physical attributes to play in any league in the world, especially the Prem. I think that power and pace, he does well in Ajax. I mean, the world's his oyster. Ajax sell players to Barcelona. They sell players to Manchester United. So that you could look at that 10% sell, and he goes for 60 million. That's another 6 million on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, just quickly, see me look at somebody like sort of Aaron Hickey at Hearts. He left to go to Bologna for whatever it was, like £2 million. He's now moved to Brentford. Hearts have probably made more money out of the sell-on than they got for the original fee. So people have to look sort of further down the line, and this is how it works. And I get that people maybe don't accept the sell-on part of the deal, but I think whenever Rangers sell a player that they feel as though can go again, Rangers will put a sell-on fee in that because they have to. It's crazy to allow somebody to go who could go again and move for another huge fee, and then we miss out on a cut of it. It would be
Right,
really.
well, we have a caller in. If I can just get everything sorted right to bring them in. Caller ending 887. How you doing? Welcome to the Rabble phone in.
How you doing, boys? All right, it's Robert in Doncaster.
Robert, how are you, my friend?
Well, I've been better. Lying here with a broken leg, but you guys have kept me going last couple of weeks, so cheers for that.
Sorry to hear that.
I will not get into that story. No, just about the Bassey transfer. I think the point I was trying to make was it's all about selling the players when they're at the peak of their powers. We could have maybe kept them and played in the Champions League for a couple of games and get another 5, 6, 7 million of it. But I think you just need to sell them when they're at their highest asset.
Well, is he right now at his highest asset, Robert?
Well, how much further could we take him? That's not been disrespectful to Rangers staff, but how much further could we take him? We took him to a European final. He's won a title. He's won a Scottish Cup. I think you're sort of gambling. You saw it with Morelos. There was a rumour bid 20 million for Lille, and we never sort of pounced in that. We've kept him, and now we could lose him for nothing. So I think it's about you need to sell them when the money's there.
That's the point, Wally.
No, look, the big point as well, people have to understand, like Calvin's got 2 years left in his contract. What if Rangers went to Calvin and said, Calvin, are you prepared to sign an extension? And Calvin's maybe went to Rangers. Well, no, probably not, because I understand there's offers coming in from X. And Rangers are there in a position going, well, we can't allow this guy to run into the last year of his contract because we could end up taking less money for him. And yet again, this is just all part of the business. These are things that happen that, the supporters maybe just don't want to think about. But I mean, that's the nature of the game, isn't it? That's how we've ended up getting Lawrence. He's let his contract run down, and he's decided to sign for Rangers because Rangers might have made him a better offer than somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough. But I mean, if Calvin felt as though he was ready to take that next step, and Rangers felt as though this was the best time to sell him, I'm sure Rangers would have loved to have kept him for the Champions League. Let's be honest, he's been a very good player, and I'm sure he would have done well. But at the end of the day, would we have made more money in 6 months' time or a year's time when he's in the last year and a bit of his contract?
There's a few people, Robert, saying, and I think mostly RFC 56, he is not a happy bunny.
I can see him in the comments.
he's not happy. But he's saying, look, there's still 5 weeks left of the transfer window. Could we have held off and possibly made a bit of a bidding war for Bassey?
No, because we need that money to reinvest. I mean, I'm sure you've seen this morning heavy links to this boy Gildas at Besiktas, who apparently is a right player. So no, I think we've done the right thing. I mean, pictures of Bassey this morning, he looks over the moon. We've got the money in the bank, and we can go and invest that, and everything moves on to it. Listen, he's left us loads of happy memories. He was brilliant in both the finals. Unfortunately, we never won the both of them, but and I think he gave us more than we ever thought he could. To be honest, when he first came to us, so we wish him all the best. But we need to just get on with it and go and get some cover, because as much as Barisic looked brilliant last night, he really did. I think we still need somebody to push them, because you don't want to get into the season. And I think it was at Blackpool we put on Devine, and he looked not be harsh on the boy, but looked out his depth in that position at least. And there's nobody there to come in if Barisic does have a dip in form or gets injured. So no, take the money, get a left row back in, and then I think we're sort of all but settled in terms of the squad. I'd be looking obviously punt that a couple of guys that we're no using, and maybe another striker. I think we could do it, because Morelos, I don't know when he's back in. Roof is out as well, and you're putting a lot of expectation on Cholak. So even if it's just a loan deal for somebody, just somebody to come in and give you that peace of mind that you've got somebody to come off the bench would be good. But last night was fantastic. I don't know what you thought about it last night. I didn't get time to watch the reaction show. I'll maybe catch that when you're done here. But I thought we were absolutely brilliant last night. It was a pleasure to watch.
That's not acceptable that you didn't watch the reaction show, Robert. it's just not acceptable. No, in all seriousness, last night, Mark, first half, but back and forth, second half, that 10-15 minute spell, if we can play like that throughout the majority of the season, then Champions League final, here we come.
Yeah, we look good. I think that...
He thinks that he's going to freeze, will he? There you go.
All right. No, look, I thought in the first half we had a couple of good performances. I thought Borna and Glenn were very good in the first half. I thought we moved the ball reasonably well. We just didn't have any end product. Started the second half, obviously, when you bring on Lawrence and Matondo, they certainly made an instant impact. One of the things that I've been kind of sort of shouting out for is more goals from midfield. I think it's something that you'll hear a lot of people talking about with Rangers. And Lawrence showed a little bit of that last night. He's run for the goal. He's then on the edge of the box where he could have shot, but he decided to move it on to Kent. So, yeah, look, there's a lot to like.
Can I just come back in quickly there? Just on these sort of performances, we do look good against these kind of teams, and it's the old adage of we can get in behind. But my worry is always... the low block, as they like to call it these days, and that it's frustrating because our sort of key players like to get in behind and they can't find that space. Kent is brilliant when he's got space to plenty, but when he can't get in behind, it's quite frustrating watching him at times. I think Matondo's going to be the same. If he's got space in front of him, we'll get performances at him all day long. It's the worry that when it's a St Johnstone at home or St Mirren away, these kind of games that you maybe not going to get that. So it's about adapting really and trying to have something else in the locker. I was delighted to see Cholak dragging defenders about. That was good, and I thought Tom Lawrence looked like he'd been playing for Rangers for a season or two, so he looked really good. So no, definitely positives. And
just on your point there, Robert, before I forget, because I've got a terrible memory about the lack of space. you mentioned Čolak. I think Čolak is going to be huge because Čolak will drag about the defenders and he will make space for the likes of Kent and Matondo to get in. And I think where we've improved this season, where we all thought Ramsey was going to do last season when he came in, but unfortunately he was never fit enough. Lawrence is clever enough that he will find those spaces that Čolak leaves for the likes of Matondo and Kent. Kent, it's a big season for Ryan Kent if he stays. I think it's
a big month. I think it's a big month for Ryan Kent because is he going to put pen to paper, or are you just going to? Are we all going to be sort of? I don't know if you can swear on this. Are you all going to be sort of shining yourself to the end of the season, waiting for him to either do it, stay or not stay? Because I think out the two, he's the one that would probably be more tempted to be a pre-contract in January. I think Morelos maybe sign on, but no hope that Kent would sign on.
Well, what you can do is you can't say, I don't know if I can swear on this, and then just go and swear. You have to wait for permission to swear, Robert, for fuck's sake. Look, it's a weird one, and I'm going to come on to talk about Ryan Kent. But Robert, listen, mate, I'm going to let you go now because I've had a few people trying to get through, but I'm going to cover. I'm going to cover.
Lads, and hopefully I'll speak to you again. All right.
Thank you very much, Robert.
Yeah, mate.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Before I come to Ryan Kent, because we haven't actually had a chance to talk about Bassey himself, and I'm going to cover that point for Robert because, like I says, we've not covered the Kent contract situations. Well, the move itself for Bassey, fantastic move, and I am super confident he's going to go and smash it up.
Yeah, look, I think when you look at what they're looking for now in terms of a centre back, Calvin's got a lot of those attributes. He's got power, he's got pace, and I think where he improved a lot from when Gio came in was his positioning. So I think at times he did get a bit caught out, but luckily enough for Calvin, he's got enough pace to then get back and recover a lot of the times from the mistakes that he made.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at Ajax, they'll just refine that. The money that Ajax have managed to make over the years from defenders, obviously the lad that's just moved to Man United, obviously De Ligt, who come through the academy, who obviously moved to Juventus, now he's moved to Bayern Munich. So they obviously know how to refine a defender. So if Calvin goes there and is, sort of developed in a way that they know how to do it, and he plays in the Champions League and stands out, Calvin could be there for maybe 2 years maximum before somebody offers a ludicrous amount of money for him. And that's where Ajax are absolutely brilliant. Like, their business model is just, it's perfection.
Their business model, William, is what we're trying to do. I think we're trying to copy their business model.
No, I think the scary thing when you look at Ajax is the money that Ajax make year on year is ridiculous. They can sell one or two players, and then they know who they're going for straight away. They lost obviously Haller in the summer there. They've obviously lost the lad that's went to Man United, but straight away they're back into the market. They get the lads from Spurs, who I always thought was quite a good player, but obviously under Conte maybe he's not going to play so much. So Ajax bring him in, Bergwijn I think it is. And then they signed a Dutch international fullback, and now they've went out and signed Bassey. Mm-hmm. And they've probably still got money in the bank, after those sales. And that's how they are absolutely fantastic at doing business. And I think, as we've said, and Marcus has said, if Calvin goes there and develops and does well, I'm sure Ross Wilshere will be sitting in a year or two's time waiting for that next check to come through, and that's how we've got to look at it as well.
Also, Mark, this feels slightly different for me. We've seen players leave. Look, we've seen Patterson go to Everton. We've seen a few other players like Aribo go to Southampton and stuff like that. But Ajax feels different. It's a proper football club. It's somewhere that, I don't know. I think you are under a lot of pressure at Ajax because Ajax need to win the league. They need to get into the Champions League. They need to keep that money coming in. But it's a different type of pressure where you're not going to an Everton where you're battling relegation, or a Southampton where you're happy to finish 10th, and you're going to be coached the Dutch way, which is, look, it's the proper way. He's going to be coached, and he's defending how to improve on what he's already done. I think this move for Bassey is absolutely phenomenal.
The move for him, I think there was other people that were in for him, and I think he spoke to another few clubs as well. But I think what you've said there, the club has probably it's been Bassey's pick.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's realised. I think that the boy's quite switched on. He seems quite a bright lad and stuff. And I think he's looked at the bigger picture rather than just going, "Oh, I'll go and play in the Prem." So I think he's selected Ajax rather than them being the only people that are after him. So I think that he's thought to himself exactly what we've said there. They will make him a better player. They are historically one of the big clubs. They're a name. I know obviously Everton are a big club and Aston Villa and the likes are big clubs, but this is a recognised European name. It's a big team, and it's the type of club that everybody that's got any sort of interest in football will know of and heard of. So, and all you do is look at their track record and their history with bringing players through, and look at who they sell their players to. As I said earlier, Barcelona are constantly looking at Ajax, constantly. Man United. So you're looking at the big clubs are looking at them, and Rob made a point in the call about how far can we take them. Now, whether we like it or not, the likes of Barcelona aren't going to go and watch clubs in Scotland. Do you know what I mean? In all seriousness, and it's no offence to the Scottish game, but they do look at Ajax because they know that the pedigree of the players that they bring through, so they're tried and tested.
Yeah.
So I think that the boy has specifically said Ajax is my next step to progress probably with a view of a big move to a top six back in England some point, or who knows? As I said, the world's that boy's oyster as far as I'm concerned. But that's his thinking, and I think that the boy's probably done the right thing for his career.
Yeah, he definitely. Look, he did 100% has. But we have another call come through. Calling in 623. Welcome to the Rabble phone in. How you doing?
I can't believe you didn't recognise the number, Martin.
I did. Well, if it doesn't come up on my screen, I've not got a
know
fancy
my
screen.
number.
How should I know your number?
Contacts.
I save your name. I don't save you. Well. Anyways, well, yes, caller. What would you like to say?
Can I speak to the panel, please?
No.
No, I just want to blow some smoke up Mark's arse. He's 100% right there with Calvin Bassey. I mean, for me, Calvin's taking a gamble on himself, and he's backed his own ability, because he knows if he goes to Ajax, he's got Champions League football, right? And if he can shine Champions League, he's obviously going to want to end up in the Premiership, because that's where they all want to go. So if he went to, like you were saying earlier, if he goes to a Southampton or an Everton, he'll maybe make the money, but he'll not get the European profile. Goes to Ajax, does the business for them, wins a Dutch league, probably wins a Dutch Cup, does well in Europe, then gets his big move. We get over dough. Everybody's happy. But I mean, basically, the boy is confident enough to take a gamble on himself, which to me is exactly what he's done. He's backed himself 100% to be a success, to end up where he wants to go.
Listen, well, you can't argue with that. But see, this is the thing. Just on Will's point about, everybody wanting to end up in the EPL, and I get that, especially if you are English. But see, for me personally, obviously, I was a phenomenal goalkeeper, right? I was just never picked up, which was frustrating. But I'd probably want to go and play for a team like Ajax rather than going to play for an Everton or an Aston Villa or something like that.
Yeah, well, I think the big thing when you look at the game now, and obviously Wolf kind of points it out there, and so does Mark. You can move to England for two reasons, right? You can move for the financial aspect because, let's be honest about it, Joe Aribo's probably double, treble, quadrupled his wages, but it's probably unlikely he's going to play in Europe again with Southampton. And that's not being like disrespectful to Southampton. That's just the reality of moving to somebody like Southampton. Whereas like, Wolf's absolutely spot on with Calvin. He could have maybe took the easier route and went to Brighton or another club in England and made a substantial amount of money in terms of his wages, but he wants to test himself at Europe. And obviously Ajax, season in, season out, tend to do reasonably well in the Champions League. They get to the knockout stages. If he gets that opportunity to play at that level, and if he stands out at that level, I think, as we've already said before, it won't take long for the top English clubs to start sniffing about, and then Ajax are just like, right, here's another 50, 60 million coming. Because like the money that Ajax take from transfers is incredible. Year in, year out, they get clubs to probably slightly overpay for players. And what the reality is, for Calvin, he's backed himself, and I believe he'll do it as well. And all round, if he does well at Ajax, Rangers are going to benefit, and so will Calvin further down the line, because he'll sign for a top English club who'll be in the Champions League every single season.
Well, just can I ask you quickly? There's a few people who aren't over the moon at the price tag, at the price we've sold them for. What's your thoughts on the reported 20 million?
If the figures reported are right, it was like 22 million euros and then 5 million euros in add-ons, and then the 10%. I mean, as you said earlier, the 10% is something that Ajax don't usually do, the sell on. Mm-hmm. So you've got to look at transfers these days. It's not like when I was a boy. What you said you paid is what you paid. Now it's all, if they do this, if they win 14 Ballon d'Ors, you'll get this, you'll get that. So you've got to look at the whole thing as a package, right? So as somebody else said on the pod earlier, I can't remember who it was, that Calvin goes to Ajax, does the business, we get our add-ons, then they sell and we get the 10%. It's a £30 million transfer.
Is it 100%, Wolf? Wolf, is it 100% that we've got the 10% sell on? Because there's a few people saying that they're not 100% sure if we got it or not.
We won't know unless one or both the clubs come out and say so. But I've heard that from some fairly reliable sources that aren't usually wrong. That there's definitely a 10%, and it's quite a big thing we made about it because Ajax don't usually do them. Mm-hmm. So it seems quite certain that it's a 10% sell-on clause. And if it is, as Willie says, we'll make a fortune out of that because Calvin will get sold for big money to England. So you're talking £3, £4, £5 million on top of what we're getting in. So that makes it a 27 million, £30 million transfer. Right. That's just the way you've got to look at it.
Right. Well, Wolf, I'm going to have to let you go because I'm just about to go on and talk about the BBC, and I think if you were while I was talking about the BBC, the Rangers rabble would be no more. So
you're probably right. Yeah.
Wolf, mate, thank you for phoning in, and I'm going to message you when I finish and shout at you for not telling me, and we're going to come on and make me look like an idiot.
I didn't know I was going to come on. I was sitting at my desk at work, just had a wee listen in. I thought, I'm going for the boys. Right. I missed the chat. And can I ask one of your panel if you enjoyed his hot dog last night? I believe Mark had the son at the game, his first game last night.
Aye, the ball, the wee fella had a great time. Aye. The only thing was he get bribed with the hot dogs in Ibrox, and the older son had said, "Wait to see these hot dogs." And when we got there, they had fancy hot dogs on, and he was like, "Oh, what?" So we never ate the hot dogs. I says, "Can I get a burger?" Oh, we've no burgers. So the wee fella get crisps and chocolate for his dinner until we left.
Nothing wrong with that.
He enjoyed himself, Mark. That's the main thing.
He did. He had a great time, and these youngins are the future of the club.
That's it.
Good.
Absolutely.
I actually saw the photo. Thought it must have been your grandson.
No, I'm not that old, by the way. I just had a bad paper run.
A really bad paper round.
Aye, I'm still doing it.
I like you talking to the BBC and speaking later.
Right, well, speak to
you.
I'll see you guys. Cheers.
Yeah, there's absolutely no danger I'm having Wolf on when I'm talking about the BBC. Just before we do talk about the BBC, William, we've kind of spoke about it a tiny bit, but the Ryan Kent situation.
Yeah. And
who was the other player as well? This went out of my head.
Alfredo. How
could he go out of my head? Well, what are we thinking about these guys and their deals running down? What is the course of action that Rangers need to take here?
Yeah, look, it's not an ideal situation to have probably two of your best players sitting in the last year of their deal, especially when you're obviously wanting to make it to the Champions League, which isn't easy as it is. I think obviously the club have spoke to the players, and there must be a genuine interest from both players to speak about it, because it certainly sounds like with Aribo, when they spoke to Aribo, he made it clear that he wasn't going to sign and he wanted to leave. If that was the case with Kent and Morelos, then I would imagine, especially with Kent, the fact that he's fit to play, I would imagine a deal would be happening with Kent. So you would like to think that there's a chance that he does stay. Alfredo, I mean, if the rumours are true that he's not potentially back until some point in September. It's
So
hard
we
to
can't
sell a
sell
guy that's injured.
Yeah, you can't sell him.
We're in a position where, I saw that Barcelona basically gave Dembele a 2-year deal. Maybe Rangers could do that type of deal with Morelos, where they basically get him on either a 1 or a 2-year deal, and it allows him more time to return for his injury, and then you could sell him after that. But it's a difficult one. For me, I don't really like the thought of players running down their contract and us not getting any money for them. That's my kind of gut instinct on that, personally.
Mark, yourself?
For me, I'm starting to feel the worst because it's not like we've just all of a sudden, it's been the end of the season, we thought, we better talk to Morelos and Kent about contracts. So this has probably been going on for the last 6 months. So the fact that it's been going on and is going on so long, because let's face it, this just hasn't happened yesterday. I'm starting to kind of feel the worst a wee bit. I can't see why. Obviously, there's a wage structure in place. I can't see why we can't go like that to them. Look, well, I tell you what, we'll put you at the top earners for the next year. Sign a 2-year contract or a 3-year contract, and as soon as somebody comes in, we will sell you. We can even write it in write the clause in there for X, Y, Z, whatever it is, 10 million, 15 million, whatever it is. We'll put it in there. And what we'll do is, instead of us bumping you up, i.e. 40 grand or 45 grand or 50 grand a week, what we'll do is we'll give you a lump sum for signing the new contract, which then we don't break our wage structure, but you're getting sorted out for signing a new contract for helping the club make money. For me, that's something I never just sat down and, I'm not a genius in contract negotiation, but I mean, that possibly can't be. I can't be the only person in the world that can come up with that. And these boys, this is what they do for a living. So,
I know, but surely, Mark, on that, right? Surely on that, you say to him, "We'll make you the top earner or whatever you need to do, and then see what we'll do is we'll just give you a wee bit extra on your sign-on bonus, and we'll work out over the months so it works out your own 40 grand a month."
Yeah, and then, like I said, you'll not break your wage structure by doing that. So everybody's still earning the same per week, per month, whatever, your top earners. But you can say to them, well, look, all right, if you want to stay for another year, that's absolutely fine. There's an incentive to stay for the year. Sign this contract so that we can make some money. And what we'll do is we'll guarantee, if you want to go in the summer next year, we'll punt you. Simple as that, as I said. But as I said, I'm feeling the worst. This is running on and running on and running on. And for me, this should be a priority. We said earlier, maybe not so much with Morelos, although for me, Morelos is one of our top players. But the fact that we would lose our original 7 to 7.5 million investment plus wages, so you're talking about Kent maybe costing us 12 million with wages and stuff like that and the whole deal. So that's an awful lot of money for somebody to walk away for free.
But you're also losing then the value of Morelos as well, which is far more than 12 million.
100%. So for me, it gets to a stage where you need to go like that, and I think that's what they've done with Rebo. They said, look, either you sign this contract or we need to sell you. We would love you to stay, but we can't, and it's a business decision. It's as simple as that. So it's got to get to that stage fairly soon because there's no that many weeks left. And I dare say that there's people that would be open to, if we said, right, Morelos is for sale, Kent's for sale, rather than at the moment going, no, we'd like to keep him. So this needs to be sorted out ASAP. It's dragging on far too long, as I said, and it's got to get to the stage where you need to go, right, look, you either sign a contract, this is the best deal we can put together for you, sign it, we'll let you go in a year's time, or maybe the two of them are waiting for Champions League. Maybe if we don't get Champions League, you'll see the both of them go. So,
but look what happened with Goldson. You just never ever know. But Walter Zenga's made the point on something that you said, William. Gio said last night that Alfie will be back before Roof, and that sounded about like Woof there, didn't it? I mean Roof. If you say Alfie is out until September, that means we are stuck with an injured Roof again this season. So 2 points on that, William. I think most Rangers fans would probably say, I'd be happy for us to sell Roof. Just simply nothing to do with ability, just because of injury record. But if Alfie's going to be out for a while, Roof's going to be out longer, That's an awful lot of pressure on Čolak in his first season.
Yeah, I mean, it's monstrous, especially when you're on a Champions League qualification point, you know. It's nothing against Fashion either. I actually like Fashion. I love the way he plays the game. But you get the feeling that we might need to go and recruit another number 9 regardless in the next week or two. Because if Alfie is out and he's going to miss these 2 qualification rounds, and then potentially, if we're good enough to get to the Champions League, he could potentially miss the first game or 2. And that's a hell of a lot for Čolak. So I think the club must be looking. It would maybe be good to look at a loan deal where the deal could become permanent. And obviously that works for if Roof was to be sold or if Sakala was to be sold, etc. That kind of covers some of the bases. But yeah, I don't think there's any doubt we do need another striker, especially just the fact that Roof misses so many games and the fact that Morelos, if the rumours are true, obviously we don't know that, we're not privy to that information, but if the rumours are true that he's out until September, you know, we're 100% going to need another striker.
100%. Right, let's not put this off any longer. This is one of the things we're here to talk about, which is like a little bit out the blue. Now, I seen a comment earlier, and I don't know if it's true. I think it was for Walter. If it wasn't, I apologise. That Richard Gordon has stepped down from Sports Sound, which I don't know if that's true, but that's what somebody's told me. The BBC today have come out and issued, not issued an apology today, but have in the past, and they're just making it public. Issue an apology, to Rangers for how can I put this, Mark? For unfair commentary, for biased commentary reports. Is that fair?
That's flowering up a wee bit.
Is it? Just say it as it is. That's what we do here.
I mean, some of it's been almost libel. It's been that bad. I mean, some of it's so far from the truth that it's been almost comical to the point where I don't care how much they apologise. I'm still not watching BBC.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still not listening to BBC. I don't really care. It's the fact that it's not even the fact that they've got biased reporters. That doesn't bother me. See, if that's your way inclined, that's absolutely fine. But it's the fact that they've backed them. And no sorted this out and went like, do you know what? Well, we're BBC, so we'll just do what we want to do, and well, it'll be your loss. Which it comes to the point now where it's not really your loss; it's BBC's loss, and now BBC are back with a cap in hand. So for me, the fact that they've took so long to get to this point is an absolute disgrace, and I think that without getting into starting to swear and stuff like that, I think that some of them, the bias and some of the reporters, and we all know who they are. I'm not going to name names, but we all know who they are, is beyond ridiculous, and beyond the fact that why do these guys even, I mean, the whole point of being a reporter is to report the truth or the facts as they see it. And
if you're doing an opinion piece, Mark, just on that very point, that's fine. Have an opinion.
Yeah.
But it has to be an opinion. It can't be a lie.
Yes. Yeah. And as I said, it's just some of the stuff. It's just constant, and it's to the point where you're actually saying, "Is this guy taking a piss? Is this guy actually being serious here, or is he being tongue in cheek and facetious?" It blew my mind. It blew my mind to the point where I was just like, do you know what? Get in the bin. I'm not interested. I am not interested in anything the BBC have got to do. I'm not interested in any of their programmes. I'm not interested in any of their reporting. I'm not interested in their website. And I'm not interested in their apology. They can stick up their arse as far as I'm concerned.
I'll just quickly read, because it's not a very long statement. I'll quickly read out the statement. A disagreement between BBC Scotland and Rangers has limited the BBC's ability to report from Ibrox Stadium over a long period of time. Now, on that, the BBC were never banned from Ibrox. One reporter had his media credentials taken away, and the BBC then refused to go to Ibrox. So, see all this bullshit about the BBC that came out, the BBC's banned for Ibrox. It was never banned from Ibrox, right? But anyway, a disagreement between BBC Scotland and Rangers has limited the BBC's ability to report from Ibrox Stadium over a long period of time. The BBC and Rangers have now agreed that it is in the best interest of the BBC audience and Rangers supporters everywhere for the BBC and the club to resolve the dispute and to provide the fullest possible coverage of all Rangers matches. The BBC is committed to reporting that the Scottish Premiership fully and fairly across all clubs. However, it recognises that the club has genuine concerns about the accuracy and balance of some of the coverage. The BBC acknowledges that there has been occasions when parts of the coverage of Rangers have not met its editorial standards. It has apologised for those instances and is happy to repeat those apologies now. We look forward to a positive ongoing relationship with the club. If the BBC acknowledge, William, that there has, to put it into their words, it's not met its editorial standards, some of the coverage of Rangers, why has it took them so long to A, figure that out, and B, sort it out and apologise?
Yeah, look, it feels like this has been going on forever. So my kind of early memories of it, which probably must be about 10 years ago now, was when they sort of depicted McCoist, I think, like sort of jumping out a glass window or something like that, if my memory serves me right. You're just thinking, who thought that was a good idea? You know, who actually thought that was an acceptable thing to do? And then you've had certain journalists who, obviously, Mark is sort of rightly not named, because at the end of it, everybody knows who they are, make, remarks about Rangers that, in all honesty, were not required. And there clearly still is, to this day, a clear issue with Rangers and the BBC. And I just feel like this might not last that long before it kicks off again. And that's the kind of sad part of it.
A leopard can't change its spots, will it?
No, I see at the end of the day, mate, there is a lot of good journalists out there, guys who can support Rangers, Celtic, Aberdeen and Hibs, but they can just do their job because that's what they're paid to do. And I don't know why it was allowed to get to the point it did. Sort of Chris McLaughlin in particular obviously had a real issue with Rangers. His reporting the Rangers was absolutely diabolical. His choice of words at times about Rangers, I mean, I just can't understand how a guy can get to that position in that organisation. Clearly with the issues that he had with Rangers, and he was allowed to go and do interviews and broadcasting things, and like, to me, it was disgraceful towards the end. And I think like Rangers were left with a choice to either ban him or just ban the whole BBC. And I think in the end, as you've already pointed out, they decided to pretty much tell him, you're not going to be allowed access to Rangers anymore. And then at that point, the BBC then just didn't send anybody. So I'm on the kind of middle here. I can understand why people don't want an apology. I can understand why people don't really care, because it's a difficult one. There's been so much going on for so long with the BBC. Maybe Rangers just feel like this is the time to give it a go. But as I said earlier, it'll only take one wee small thing for it to all kick off again, and this might be the last time that Rangers accept any kind of apology from them.
Well, the issue you've also got, Mark, is that, look, see, when I was growing up, one of the only ways you could know about Scottish football was, the BBC and the radio, on the sports scene coverage. And growing up, I loved the BBC. But see now, they've been out of circulation with Rangers, that you've got, 4, 5, 6 Rangers podcasts, Rangers media shows. There's plenty of content online for people. I think the BBC have fucked it for themselves, if I'm being brutally honest. I don't think there is. Look, obviously, if they're reporting from Ibrox, Rangers fans, if there's no other way to do it, they will listen in, because it's your team, and you get to hear stuff for your team. But out with that, I don't think there's going to be many Rangers fans that are going to sit up and go, oh, well, they've apologised, cool. Let's go back to watching the BBC.
I think it's done. I think, like you said, they've shot themselves in the foot. I think between them and then a certain paper group as well that's shot themselves in the foot as well. And these people,
every newspaper from me.
I think it's arrogance. I think it's arrogance that they think that they're bigger than the club, or they're bigger than the fan base. Now, without the fan base, if nobody's going to watch you, then there's no point in putting a programme out. If nobody's going to read a paper, there's no point in putting a paper out. So I think that the arrogance of them that say that, no, well, we can say what we like and do what we like because we're big and we're bad and people will watch us or people will read us or people will listen to us. And that's not the case. And I think that now the whole news and media thing has totally shifted, and now the world and the landscape is completely different. Now everybody will go online. Rather than go to a website or certain websites, we will go onto Twitter and find it out well quicker than anything any of these reporters can give us it. Half of them are just flinging things out there and hoping something sticks. They're looking for information which they can't get. So people on Twitter are more clued up and more in the know than half of these guys, and which was never the case. Never the case. They had report and they had connections with clubs, and that's how they got their stories. And now the problem is that whole channel of getting stories and having report is gone because the club are like that. They're seen as pariahs. They're seen as, we don't really want you in this club. We will now, because of Apologise, we will need to tolerate them, but they'll not be getting any exclusives and they'll not be getting anything from the club or any of the players because the players know that they just report crap. So, like you said, and I'm still ranting, but like you said, they've shot themselves in the foot big time. And this is starting, the realisation's starting to creep in, which you should have realised that when they done it. Do you know what I mean? There's the fan base, Rangers fan base is massive, and it must account for hundreds of thousands of clicks on websites and probably years gone past hundreds of thousands of copies. So, as I said, they've shot themselves in the foot. I'm going to stop ranting now.
You're going to calm down now. Just chill out. Your face is going the same colour as the tiles behind you. It's a difficult one, William. I say it's difficult, right? It's not really difficult. But what can, if anything, I suppose the BBC do? But does it have to be now a raft of changes at Sports Sound and Sports Scene, or is it just a case that it's going to take time? But if they just start doing their jobs properly over time, we'll all forget about this.
I don't think there's any way back for them. You know, I genuinely don't. You know, at the end of the day, over the last few years, you know, the fan media side of things has exploded.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got, you know, Rangers giving content now to ourselves. You know, we were lucky enough to interview Craig Mulholland. We've been lucky enough to interview some of the academy players. You've obviously got like Heart and Hand. You get like 4 lads, etc., that have had interviews with players, with coaching staff. They get to attend. Obviously, we were lucky enough to sit in the day the Rangers played Celtic via Ibrox, and we saw like the after-match press conference and things like that. So the world's a changing place now. So there's not this huge need to go and check the papers anymore. There's not this huge need to go and, you know, click on the BBC website because most of the content's already out there on social media. You know, and this is one of the things that I think they're going to find it really difficult to get people to come back and, you know, have the clicks on their website, have people show any interest. Because at the end of the day, everything's basically on people's doorstep now. As long as you've got access to the internet, you know, you can watch Rangers games, you can watch interviews, you can sign up to RTV and watch all the exclusive stuff. You know, the signings are confirmed on social media. In the past, in my younger days, you had to wait for it to come on the radio or on the next day's newspaper. I remember sitting in work when I was younger when we signed Ronald de Boer. I was working for a company in Johnston. And like, this is how sad you were back then. You used to have the radio on during the summer transfer window because that was the only way you would find out if Rangers signed somebody. And all of a sudden it was Ronald de Boer signed for Rangers. You're just like, that's great. Well, you couldn't go onto social media and then start typing in all this stuff. Whereas like now, you know, the Calvin Bassey thing's been going on now for like a week. You know, you've got Fabrizio Romano on Twitter, you know, like the sort of transfer guru guy, and you've got like sort of
the Rangers rabble phone in on a Friday night.
So, you know, this is the thing, like sort of like the world's changed now. So there's not a need for the BBC. There's not a need for these like companies anymore. It's like, yeah, everything's either on Twitter or it's on Instagram, and, you know, the signings are confirmed. You know, the signings are confirmed. You know, you've got Fabrizio Romano on Twitter, and you've got like sort of all,
Yeah, the Rangers rabble phone in on a Friday night.
so, you know, this is the thing, like sort of like the world's changed now. So there's not a need for the BBC. There's not a need for these like companies anymore. It's like, yeah, everything's either on Twitter or it's on Instagram, and mean, even like me, I mean, I never thought I would have been somebody that used Twitter to the like to the depths I use it now for the academy stuff, for all that. But it's. I mean, I never thought I would nearly hit 17,000 people, like sort of, waiting for my tweets to come out. To me, that's ludicrous. I'm just a guy that goes to watch the academy games that puts out some updates.
I never thought that we would have, between 3,000 and 8,000 people watching our shows.
No, and that's the thing. Like, because the world's changed. It's like Rangers fans want to hear Rangers fans content. They don't need the stuff that was coming out of the BBC, the stuff that was coming from the Daily Record, etc. And that's why it's important now that people are giving choices. If people want to listen to us, that's great. If people want to listen to our content, of course you can. We're never going to force anybody to listen to us. Obviously later on tonight, I'm going to do an academy pod. So if anybody's interested in that, feel free to come and join in the content and we'll chat about it. And that's what it's all about now. There's that freedom now for people to make a choice. If you don't want to listen to the academy stuff, that's fine. If you just want to listen to the first team content, that's fine. Because everybody's allowed to do and pick what they want. And as far as I'm concerned, as I said earlier, I think the BBC are done. I think the days of the Daily Record being that important are probably done. And the way that the world is changing, you make as much money now from having like hits on TikTok. Like, so Romano's making tens of thousands of pounds now by doing these TikTok videos and having exclusive streams where he's charging people money for them. But that's where the world's going now.
Even newspapers are getting into the world of podcasts.
So. Because they have to, because there's no other way of making money. There's very few people now buying newspapers. And that's the way the world is. So, people are charging maybe like £2 a month for content or £5 a month for content. But that's where the money's coming in. And that's the only way I do it. I mean, it's amazing how quickly things have changed on that front. I mean, even for me, I'm 40 this year. It feels kind of surreal, like the way that things have changed in the last 5 or 10 years.
Aye.
You know what I mean? It's crazy. It really is.
And also, we should actually just say, Mark, kudos to Rangers for not putting up with the BBC shit and taking a step back and going, if you don't want to come to Ibrox, he's a welcome, but if you don't want to come, you don't have to come. And Rangers stood for him, and it's the BBC that's backed down.
Yeah, and that was always going to be the case, and I think Rangers knew that. I think that was, well, one of the ones in it. You need us before we need you. So, and kudos to Rangers as well for championing the fans media side of things as well, because they've had a big part in that as well. So, as I said, they will need us more than we need them, but dead in the water, dead and buried. I've said enough.
Aye. Very quickly before we go, there was a question and I can't find it. Right now, I'm going to say this. Right now, I'm not going to be one of these, guys that's got a Twitter page with X amount of thousand followers and a podcast that gets X amount of thousand viewers. I'm never going to lie. I'm never going to make stuff up. I'm never going to pretend I've heard something when I haven't heard something. I'll leave that for the group chats. Right. So Steve Shaw's asking, in other news, Yilmaz's possible new left back for $4 million. Any update? I do not know anybody within Rangers. I do not have any contacts. I have people who know people who sometimes tell me stuff, but I never say it because I don't know if it's going to be 100% true. So, William, this has been reported. I don't know where it's came from. Do you know anything?
No, look, I think when you see certain people putting out certain tweets on social media, there's a degree of truth on it. Okay? So, like, looking at this guy this morning, there's been a reporter from, I think you say it as BN Sports, who's obviously a massive organisation. He put a tweet out. I think he was the first one. And then after that, I think there's been like 3 or 4 other journalists from within Turkey have put out the kind of content as well, but slightly differently in terms of the figures. So it would be strange if all of these things had come out at once if there wasn't some truth in it. Whether these figures are accurate and whether it is true that Rangers are interested, obviously we're not privy to that information. But when you've got journalists that are kind of well known who have got hundreds of thousands of followers, sometimes millions, then you tend to think there is some truth in the rumour. And clearly, Anybody that's seen Rangers obviously knows that we probably need another left back, whether that's to be a starter or to push Borna. It probably puts 2 and 2 together, doesn't it? So you would like to think there's a degree of truth in it. He's in the last year of his contract. He's a young player. He's a Turkish international. It sort of ticks a lot of the boxes that, we've been talking about recently. So yeah, let's hope there is some truth in it, because from what some of the guys were saying on social media, he's a technically gifted left back who likes to get forward, who likes to be aggressive, very much in the mould of how we want our fullbacks to be.
Just finally, Mark, the phone-in has closed, by the way, just to let everybody know. What does that say about Borna then, if you're going after a left back, Mark, for $4 million?
I think it doesn't really say much. To be fair, I think that we need cover. So
$4 million cover, though.
Well, but for me, I've spoken about this before. For me, you don't buy a player. I know I've said cover. You don't buy a player for cover. You buy a player to challenge. So this boy comes in. It's up to Borna. If Borna ups his game and plays like he done last night, then Borna keeps it shut. If this boy comes in, Borna takes a dip, and this boy plays and outshines Borna, then. But that's in Borna's hands. It's not like we're saying, no, we're bringing somebody in to replace Borna. We're bringing somebody in, which should be every player we bring in should be to challenge a player in that position. Other thing as well that we spoke about when we spoke about strikers, the big boy Tillman can play up front as well. He can play through the middle.
Yeah, true. It's just a shame we haven't obviously managed to see any of them yet, though.
Yeah.
So he's going to take a wee bit extra time to bed in. But look, we could go down that rabbit hole and we could be here for another hour. And I would love to be, but like I say, my dog was sick all over the living room. My missus has cleaned that up, so I need to go and make sure the dog's okay. William, I'm not 100% sure of the time yet. I'm going to try and move a couple of things about, but there will be an Academy pod tonight at some point.
Yes, 100%. If CGM wants to come back to me with that comment later, we can maybe discuss that a bit more as well. Obviously, I was hoping to get Martin on later on the Academy pod, and we could have took some phone calls. We could have maybe went a wee bit more in depth into certain things, but we're not too sure that's going to work. So we'll let everybody know. But probably some point tonight, we'll put out a tweet via the Rabble and RFC Youth Updates, and we'll let you know when the Academy pod is going to be. So feel free to pop in later, join in the comments, and if Martin is available, we'll maybe have our first ever Academy phone-in special.
Which would be good, actually. Well, I think that's probably a good way to go with the Academy stuff, because it's all right, people asking in the comments, which is brilliant, but if people can come on the phone, it gives a bit more context to the answers and 100%. Stuff like that. So if I'm available, I definitely will.
No, but I mean, and as Martin's already said, look, we're happy to speak about the things we can. Obviously, just like everything else, there's certain things that I can't say, which I hope people understand. I mean, I get tweeted a lot asking who trialists are. I can't put that information out there. If the club are trying to sign a trialist, he's a trialist for a reason. The club don't want people to know who he is. I hope people do understand when I say that on social media. I'm not trying to be, like an arse or anything like that. I'm just trying to protect the club's, sort of desire to keep these things private. If other people want to release that information, that's clearly their choice. I won't.
And that's how we get interviews with Craig Mulholland. And we have a good relationship with the club.
I just believe when the club wants somebody to be a trialist, they're going to remain private, and that's how I'll leave it. We were very fortunate to get Craig on. It was a great interview. If anybody's missed it, Martin will maybe put a wee link somewhere, or you'll maybe retweet it again.
I'll put it in the description in the video.
So, I mean, if anybody's not seen the Craig Mulholland interview, please check it out. There's a lot of great content there. I've spoke to Craig again since then, and he's going to come on and do another pod at some point in the future. So that's absolutely amazing. I'm hopefully going to have another 1 or 2 interviews lined up in the next 3 to 6 months as well. These things just take time. Unfortunately, it doesn't just happen with one email to somebody and it all happens. It's a bit long-winded, unfortunately. But yeah, if you keep an eye on the content, we'll definitely be putting more stuff out there.
And by the way, just like that, boom, that's the Craig Mulholland interview now in the description of the video. That's how good I am. But yeah, listen, everybody, thank you for watching. Please do, if you're watching on YouTube, give it a like and subscribe, and switch the wee notification bell on as well, so that every time we go live like this, because we can't exactly promote this, because this is a, Bassey signs for Ajax. We're coming on. We're going to talk about it. Breaking news happens. We're coming on. And we're going to talk about it. So if you hit that wee notification bell, you'll know exactly when we're on. If you're on Twitter as well, give us a wee follow. Give this show a retweet. Give us not comment now, because we're just about to finish. And of course, you can, if you want to help the Rabble grow, join as a member on YouTube as well. The wee button is just down below. But yeah, so an hour and 10 minutes. Boom, done, sorted, easy, Mark.
No problem.
No problem.
I think man's wanting to get back to his sunbathing out the back door again, mate.
So I have like
He's wanting to get back into the pool. Mark, Wally, guys, thank you very much. Wally, we'll see you later on. Thank you to everybody in the comments for watching. Like I said, do all that subscription stuff. And hopefully we'll see everybody back here tonight for the Academy Pod. So cheers.